Strait of Hormuz traffic down as U.S. blockade appears to deter some ships. Published by USNI News, U.S. Naval Institute. There are at least 7 ships that initially reversed course in the Persian and Oman Gulfs after the U.S. announced a blockade of Iran's coast, according to maritime analysts monitoring merchant traffic in the Middle East. 4 of the 7 ships ultimately embarked back on their planned routes, according to a Tuesday media briefing from London-based Lloyd's List Intelligence. There were 6 total transits of the Strait of Hormuz, although there could be additional dark transits, where ships sail without their automatic identification systems. Monday saw a decrease in traffic after one of the busiest weekends since the conflict between Iran, the U.S. and Israel began. President Donald Trump announced the blockade on Sunday. On Sunday, there were 14 transits, according to Kepler, another maritime intelligence firm. There were 17 transits on Saturday and 13 on Friday, according to Lloyd's List intelligence data. With 17 transits, 10 of which were westbound, Saturday was the strait's busiest day since March 1. It also marked the first time westbound transits outnumbered eastbound transits since the war began. According to a U.S. Central Command social media post, 6 merchant vessels turned around in compliance with the U.S. blockade once it went into effect Monday morning. CENTCOM spokesperson Captain Tim Hawkins declined to provide USNI News with the names of the 6 ships. Lloyd's List also tracked one stateless U.S.-sanctioned ship making a U-turn in the Gulf of Oman. The Strait of Hormuz continues to be a point of contention in the ongoing war between Iran and the U.S. Iran wants control of the waterway as part of the agreement between the two countries. International maritime law treats the Strait of Hormuz as an international passage open to all, while Iran argues it is made up of Iranian and Omani territorial waters. More than 10,000 U.S. sailors, Marines and airmen are part of the U.S. effort to blockade ships that visit Iranian ports, according to a Tuesday CENTCOM social media post. Marines assigned to the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit aboard 3 amphibious warships are trained in maritime visit, board, search and seizure, and Navy SEALs are set to take control of ships if needed, USNI News understands. Overall, the U.S. blockade is in line with the definition laid out in the Newport Manual on the Law of Naval Warfare, an analysis of the rules and principles governing conflict at sea published by the U.S. Naval War College's Stockton Center for International Law. Compared to ongoing sanctions implemented during the first Trump and Biden administrations, the current blockade is ordinary, Naval War College professor James Kroska told USNI News. A blockade is a belligerent operation intended to prevent vessel traffic from all states from entering or leaving specified coastal areas that are under the sovereignty, occupation or control of an enemy, reads the Newport Manual, of which Kroska is a co-author. CENTCOM provided direct notification of the blockade to mariners. The United Kingdom Maritime and Trade Operations Center also carried a notification of the blockade. Unlike when the U.S. went after sanctioned ships traveling to and from Venezuela, this blockade affects all ships that make calls at Iranian ports and coastline. The U.S. can also enact the right of search and seizure on ships, separate from the blockade, to determine if the ship is an enemy or carrying the cargo of the enemy, Kroska said. That might come into play if the U.S. wants to search a ship coming from Iraq, for example, which is not blockaded by the U.S., to ensure the ship is not aiding Iran's war effort. The blockade applies to any ship that visits Iranian ports, regardless of country of ownership or flag, including China, which does purchase Iranian oil. A Chinese ship that visits an Iranian port will be subject to the blockade, Kroska said. One of the questions that remains to be seen is how the U.S. will view the Tehran-provided route around Iran's Larak Island. As of last week, the route, which requires ships to provide documentation, and in some cases, payment, to the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps was still the most used way out of the Strait of Hormuz. Lloyd's List Intelligence tracked 50 out of 72 total transits using the route between April 6 and Sunday.